Stated.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Hey all, this is Susai Francis. So today's topic is arrays. So I don't think a lot of things to discuss about array. I hope everyone is comfortable. So I'll directly go into the question. So the first question is getting the longest continuous sub array. Okay, I'll share the screen. Yeah, the first question is getting the longest continuous sub array with the absolute difference less than or equal to limit. So I hope everyone is clear with the question. Just we have to find the longest continuous subarray in the given array. The difference between the subarray element should be less than or equal to the given limit. I hope everyone is clear. Is there any question or confusion in the question? Okay. So the
is the difference the absolute difference or just I'm not.
it's not the sorry. What's the question?
Is the mod value we are taking like 1 minus 2 will be minus 1, so we are taking the mod value?
Yeah, absolute difference. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Just for this example, if you see it is 10, 1, 2, 4, 7, 2, right? So actually this 2 to 7 also valid and 7 to 2 also valid. It's within the file limit range. Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks. So anyone want to share your ideas regarding this question? Obviously, one easy brute force solution can be try to get all the possible combination of the subarrays and check the total is less than or equal to this limit or not. That will be a n square order of n square time complexity solution. That will be a very simple straightforward. I hope everyone will be comfortable with that, right? So anyone expecting to share or discuss code for that, or we can go with the next approach?
I think that would be NQ.
Sorry. Yeah, maybe I can explain the next one, right? Because this is the n square solution. We can try to discuss the order of n solution. I mean, it's not a n log n solution. There is a possible way. That's what I am planning to discuss. Is that okay? Okay, I take it as a okay. So the approach here is try to create or try to insert the values into a, actually I am from Java, so I am planning to use the tree map here. So tree map will help me to sort the elements by key. So whenever I see an element, I will put it into the map with how many elements are there with that particular value. So when 10 is coming, it will go 10 bar 1. And when 1 is coming, so it will be 1 also 1 times, but we have to check the difference. So selected the tree map to get the advantage of the first will be always the smallest number and the last will be always the biggest number. So whenever we iterate the element, keep inserting the element into the tree map. That will take care of sorting all the keys. So always check the first value versus the last value. Sorry, last minus last key minus first key. If this difference is greater than limit, then we have to remove some element from the left. Like it's clear, right? When we are taking 10, the difference is 10. So 10 should be there as a subarray. When we are taking 1, so these two going to be the subarray, but the limit is not within the, sorry, the difference is not within the limit. So we have to remove the 10 and we have to keep going. It's like kind of sliding window. So now we are adding the 2, still within the range. So keep going, add 4 within the range and try to add 7. It's not within the range because difference between 7 and 1. We are trying to get the absolute difference between the maximum element and the minimum element. So 7, 1, the difference is 6. So we have to remove the left element. Now the subarray going to be 2, 4, 7. Now get the next element, 2, still within the range. So this is the answer, right? Answer 4. It's clear, right? So the same thing can be easily implemented in tree map. That's what we are trying to do. So when 1 is coming, 1 automatically will go first since we are using a tree map. And the complexity of this one is just n log n. N log n. So now we are inserting the 10. So the first element needs to be removed. So we can have 2 pointers. One is to like iterating all the elements. That will be like we can have it like an explorer or something. And the second one is like a drop element, something like that. Initially both will be at 0th position and the explorer will be keep going and inserting the element into this map, and inside that this drop element pointer we have to make sure and check until this tree map first element, sorry, first key versus the last key is within the range. Until the range come within the limit, we have to keep dropping the element from the left. So is the approach is clear? Anyone has any question? Just I will try to solve with this problem by having all these pointers. So explorer going to be 1 and the drop, sorry, 0.
One question, Susai.
Yeah.
See, if your language has a tree map or tree set, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And also C++ has an order and unordered, right? But if
Okay.
a language doesn't have that, then how are you going to do it?
Okay, if that is the case, then you have to sort every time you remove an element. Still the complexity not going to change. The main key thing is whenever you remove an element, you have to arrange it, right? Because it will not be having arranging, but at least it will, all language will have the basic map at least, right? The dictionary or something it will have. The key value pair can be there for sure, right? Just we have to arrange it or sort it whenever you remove an element. So this algorithm will be like just insert the element into the map, check the difference between first element and check the difference between first and last. If the difference is
Okay.
greater than limit,
Okay.
remove element. If your language has this tree map or this sorting option, then you are good, or else sort the remaining elements.
But in that case, is it not like you're traversing the array that will be O of n, and again you are sorting this sub array, right? So that will be n log n. So will it be something like n into n log n? I'm just asking question. I'm really not sure of that. Just thinking loud.
Okay, it's not right.
Is it? Okay, maybe. I just thought, just wanted to share maybe, because I also thought maybe if we just sorted, then it will be, but you're traversing the array and again you're collecting the sub-array between the right and left pointer and then sorting it again every time. Yeah. So
Wait. Sorry, I think, yeah, your concern is valid because I told this information is wrong because your array is already sorted. Whenever you are removing, you no need to sort again, right? You have to find the element just to remove.
Okay.
It shouldn't be resorted. The way I explained makes sense to think like n log n, but it is not n log n. Sorry, I think this is not the right step. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I think that is fine. Yeah. Okay.
Remove the element itself sufficient enough.
Yeah.
So because you will be keep sorting whenever you are inserting. If you are sorting only when inserting an element, then it is n log n. I hope you agree with that, right?
Yeah.
So
you're sorting.
Here, sort the elements.
Yeah. So you're inserting only in a sorted array.
Yes.
Okay. I think that should be fine then. No problem. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but yeah, good for that.
So
Just to open up more things.
One question I had is maybe I'm still confused. Like, why do we have to sort? Because it seems like a sliding window problem, right?
Yeah.
So why the sorting is needed? Like in the example, you take 10 and then you take a 1. So the difference is more than the limit. So we leave 10 out and then we keep on moving from 1. So 1 becomes my start now, and then I keep on moving to 2, 4. I'm just talking about the example. I think.
Yeah, sure. That's a great question, actually.
So 1, 2, 4. So this is all in the limit, and then I go to 7.
Yes.
So I go to the 7. So I know that 7 and 1, the whatever the start was, so that it is out of the limit, right? So if it is out of the limit, then what I do is I take the count until then, like for 1 to 4, I take a count of 3. And then when I reach 7, if it is not in the limit 1, so I move my start to 2, right?
Okay.
So now 2 is in the limit. So now we know that window 2, 4, 7 is all in the limit, right? For 5. So that becomes my window. And then again, I move 7 from 7, which is an end pointer. I move to 2.
Okay.
So that becomes a count of 4. So I'm a little bit confused. Like, will this sliding window property will not take care of the limit thing, and we don't have to sort it?
No, that's a very good question, actually. Yeah, the sliding window will tell the particular range is, the particular subarray is within the range or not. It's trying to get the subarray. That's what this sliding window is helping. But the difference, if you are not maintaining this, take this example, 3, 4, 1, 7. Okay.
3, 4, 1, 7. Okay.
Now the limit is 5. When you see 7, you know it is not in range. But still you should know up to where you have to remove, right? If you are sorting, then you can easily find the difference. Or else you have to every time you have to find the min and max for each subarray. Then you will find the difference. To avoid calculating min and max every time, we are trying to use this sort.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I thought about this scenario, but exactly, I was thinking about the same thing. Like, I will have some intermediate logic which will check for what is the minimum at that point.
Yeah,
so I can compare with the next element.
Yes, anytime you can do that, but anytime you get the subarray, you have to keep checking for min and max. To avoid that only, this sort will help. Since you are using this sort, automatically it will come like 1, 3, 4. So you can always comfortably check what is the last element and what is the first element. If it is not within the range, then keep removing. But we cannot remove directly the left element. That's why we are having the second pointer. That will just maintain the sequence. Because even though it is 1, 3, 4, 7, we have to remove, because the original array was like this one, right? So we have to remove until 1. We cannot remove just 1, right? That's why we need a second pointer. The second pointer will tell the left position. from the left, what is the current position in the sliding window? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So when you say insert map, which will sort the element, like, are you trying to use a heap here, which will keep the array in sorted order, or no?
It's a
Like,
simple tree
tree
map
map is
in
also,
Java.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah, it's also going to sort only. Yeah, even heap also kind of sorting, right? Yeah, it's something similar to that. In tree map,
I
it's
think
going to store the. Yeah.
I think it's similar to set in C++.
Yes, set, but set is something which will not allow duplicates and it will not maintain the order, right? Insert order will not be
Right,
maintained in set, I believe, right?
right.
This
So
tree
set,
map,
set will maintain an order because it's an ordered set, right? Set will maintain an order. You can use map also. That will be an ordered map. Yeah.
oh, okay, in C++ also?
Yeah. You
Oh,
have
okay.
a map in order.
Oh, nice, that's good to know. In Java,
And
set means always it is not maintained order. Map will store the key value pair. If you use tree map, then it will try to internally sort all the keys every time you insert.
Hi, would it keep the duplicates also?
Sorry, Pankaj, can you repeat the
So
question?
can we save duplicates also in tree map?
No, actually, tree map will not contain the duplicate keys. So because
And
it's internally implementing the comparable interface, which doesn't allow the duplicate elements.
Yes, that's true.
okay, so when you say you remove element, that means do you remove element from the tree map as well?
Yes, but that's why we are maintaining the count here. If you see each element, how many times that element exists, that's how we
So
are
the
maintaining.
value part tells you the key, the count.
Occurrence, yeah, exactly.
That's
So,
why. Okay, got it.
so every time we
Thanks.
decrement, whenever it is reaching 0, then we have to remove the element
Yeah,
until,
got it.
yeah,
Because
okay.
if elements are repeated and you just remove it
Yeah,
once, then
that's a good
it
catch.
could be a
Yeah,
problem.
thanks. Yeah,
Okay, nice. Okay.
yeah.
And
I have a
you
question.
can just, yeah,
Uh,
please go ahead.
so I wanted to back up on the strategy suggested for solving this problem by using sliding window.
Mhm.
So what is the problem when we maintain a sliding window? I guess the only thing we have to make sure is a maxima and a minima for a given subarray, and that would make the solution more efficient than sorting it. Is that not right?
Maxima and minima.
But
But whenever you remove the element, you have to recalculate that, right?
yes,
To avoid doing that repetition only, we are trying to, but still yeah, to avoid repeating that operation again and again, we are trying to use the sort property.
So if we have to repeat that process of maintaining that minima and maxima, will that be something that would be more than n log n?
It's n log n only. Yeah, the solution is n log n only. Yep.
I see. Okay.
So you
I
are
think
saying by just
use-
maintaining the min and map properly, you can solve it with the order of n. Is that what you are?
Yes, that's my intention. That, I mean, what are we trying to save here? Is it the complexity, or is it the yeah, I mean, because maintaining a maxima or a minima should be order n problem, and sorting itself makes it a n log n. So
Yes. But maintaining the min and max, every time you have to sort, I mean, every time you have to iterate all your subarray elements and you have to keep updating the min and max. That is not a n order of n solution, I believe. Because each subarray, whenever you are trying to remove the element from the current subarray, you will be iterating all the elements again and you will be updating the min and max, right?
yes, but that should still be a linear complexity, right?
In your subarray, if you are iterating again and again, it cannot be a linear, right?
yeah, it won't be linear.
Every time if you are for example, what to say, okay, maybe 1 2 3 4, I don't know whether it's going to be right. You will be keep iterating every time you remove in your subarray, you will be iterate all the elements again and try to update the min and max, right?
Right.
I'm thinking for some good example to make sure it's not order of n. It's not going to be order of n because if even the subarray is small, if you are reiterating again and again, it's not going to be order of n.
Oh, I see. So you mean that in a worst case, we would be doing an iteration between n elements, basically n operations plus n minus 1 operations plus
Yeah,
n minus 2
yes,
operations.
yep, something like that it will end up. Yeah,
And that would look like an order of n square. And
yes, yeah, it
got
will
it.
lead to eventually n square. Yes.
Makes sense now.
Yeah, I feel like the best possible solution may be n log n. I may be missing. Anyone has possibility or your idea for n? Maybe we can discuss. Maybe I will try to finish this. Yeah. But your thought process is correct. Yeah, everyone will get that idea. Just by maintaining the min and max, why I have to maintain unnecessarily the sort? Why should I do that much complex operation? It's possible. That thought will come, but every time you have to update whenever you disturb the array. Yeah.
If you maintain the min and max, you can use a heap, right? But heap still log n. So, I think use a tree map is better.
Keep is a log n. I totally agree. But if you are doing that operation for n element, then it's going to be n log n, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It like, still log n, so it's better to use the tree map.
Yeah, using tree map may be bad, but I like to understand what you mean by log n. The log n is each individual insert, right? The log n operation in heap is for each insert, for each element, right? Every one operation going to have the log n complexity. But if you are doing this insert operation repeatedly for n element, then it's going to be n log n, right?
No, but you only do that for the worst case. Yeah.
The sorting,
so
since it
I'm
looks like kind of straightforward. Yeah. Heap, everything will do kind of same way. It's not going to be better than this complexity. But since we are just caring about first and last element, why should I really go for sort? That thought everyone will get. But still, it's kind of simple, straightforward way to get that. But complexity wise, it's not going to save. Maybe based on your input, sometimes you may get better with this one, maybe, but we cannot take some approach based on some specific inputs, right? But either way, you cannot solve this better than in log n, even with your heap also.
I have not put a lot of thought into this, but I think it might be a monotonic queue can, partially reduce it. Because with monotonic queue, we always maintain we know where the minimum is, right?
Sorry, I couldn't get that right word.
But how would you remove element from sorted queue? Problem is, so that element, the element which you want to delete, it might be in middle of the queue as well.
No, this is a monotonic queue, so we always maintain the.
Yeah, so in monotonic queue, you can always remove the like maximum or minimum element. Like monotonic queue, you are talking about priority queues, right? Where you keep elements sorted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and suppose in this case, you want to remove an element and that is not at the front or last. How would you remove that?
Yeah, this is the array. Actually, we have to remove 1. You have to keep removing 3. Hey, wait. Monotonic means then 1 will be first, right? Okay, I got your point. You are saying we have to remove 3 and 4 also. Yeah.
You can't.
So ideally the queue will be 1, 2, 3, 4, but we have to remove 3, 4 and 1, right?
2 queues you have to maintain, like one increasing, other decreasing.
Yeah. So that you can get min and max, in.
But still, that it's not going to save our time, and that may be little bit, yeah, but it's good to know that, but that will not help anything better in that will be more space for sure, I believe, right?
Yeah, extra
Yeah,
space. So
yeah. Actually, monotonic queue is not a priority queue; it's a normal queue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, why not we continue with this approach first, right? So
Yeah,
let us
sure.
see, and then
Yeah,
we can come with this.
yeah, we are almost yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just I will go ahead and write the code now. Yeah. Or anyone want to give a try for the code? Yeah. The thing is clear, right? Just we are keep inserting into the element, and automatically it's going to sort and check the difference between first key, last key. If there is a difference, keep removing. Yeah, I'll start the coding for that. Just write the main logic. Okay, we can write the logic here and then we can move. So just create a.
Can you please increase the font little
Yeah,
bit?
sure.
Thank you.
Just create a map. Command.
You have your solution already?
Sorry?
Do you already have a code or you need to write it?
we can discuss that, yeah, if it's already there.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, in Java, this is the code. Just create a map and iterate the element one by one. Insert the value into the map and always check the last key and the first key. If it is greater than limit, then just decrement the occurrence value for that particular index. And this left index going to say like what is the current position in the window. For example, it may be stay in 3th index means 0, and when we are trying to remove, the difference is 7 minus 1. So until it goes 1, it will be keep removing the element one by one, and if the value for that particular index is 0, then it will remove the element completely, and then it will just increment the drop index, what I call. And every time it will keep updating the longest subarrays, the explorer index, the main index minus the dropped element index and the one, the difference between these two index. Why we have to use this index? Why can't we get the map sizes? Because of the number of occurrences, because some element can occur more than once. To maintain that only we are using the index, or else we can just get the size of the map. Is that
Okay, here we need to maintain the occurrences, which means line number 9.
Yeah.
And
what's the
one more
question?
question is like here you have taken us in the line number 12, last key as well as the first key, which means the two consecutive elements for the first and the last one, which means n minus 1.
Sorry, what is the question?
The question is here value map dot last key minus value
Yeah.
map dot first key is there, right?
Yeah.
So these two keys are the first two consecutive elements, right? If I'm not wrong.
No, right?
Okay, which means the zeroth index and then the first, I mean n minus 1. The first index and the last index of that element, right?
Yeah. Not index, right? Because we are it is coming from the tree map. Whatever is the maximum element and whatever is the minimum element. The minimum element going to be in the first key, and whatever is the maximum for the given subarray, that's going to be the last key.
Okay, so which means it is automatically sorted inside. So we will
Yeah.
get the elements in the ascending order.
Yep.
So
That's what we are discussing.
Okay.
Yeah, because this Java has this internal tree map. If you are not having your language doesn't has this, then after inserting this element, you have to sort, or you have to maintain the sorting.
Understood.
Yeah, in place. Yeah.
No.
Any other questions? So can we go to next question? Yeah. Any other thing anyone want to discuss before moving to next question regarding the first question? Okay, I think it's clear.
We can also do it like I'm thinking that there is a question when you want to find the min of every k length subarray in a given array. So we can apply binary search using that. So let's say that you will apply binary search on the length of the subarray. So low will be 1 and high will be, let's say, the length of the array. So you will pick mid at the mid of those values and let k equals mid, and you'll check that you'll have to perform for two cases. You'll have to calculate min for every window,
yeah,
k-sized window, and correspondingly you'll have to calculate the max for that window, and then you'll subtract max minus min, and you'll check that if any of the windows has max minus min less than limit or equal to limit, if that's the question. So then we can basically say mid equals mid will go to its low will go to its higher level. Low equals mid plus 1, something like that. I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. So
Or
you're
low
saying
equals mid in that case, sorry, because mid plus 1 we don't know actually if we will have something on mid plus 1.
okay. So if I understood correctly, each sub window, instead of iterating all the element and get the min and max, just we can do a binary search and get the min and max. Is that what you are saying? Is that correct?
So I'll post a link right now, and
Okay.
that is a related question. Just a minute.
Oh, sure.
Hello.
Yeah.
So if I'm not wrong, we can take these elements like these elements containing 6, right? The count is 6, 10, 1, 2, 4, 7, 2.
Yeah.
If we do this in binary tree, in the sense means low plus high by 2, which means we will get third element. The count is 3. So from this one, we will get 0, 1, 2, 3. The 3 is 4 here. So we will have 10, 1, 2 on the left side and 4, 7, 2 is on the right side.
Yeah.
So among these 10, 1, 2, we have to subtract the elements, and we will check which is coming under this limit. And the same goes for the right element also, right? So that we can sort this out. Am I right?
So we have the full array. The full problem itself you are trying to solve with binary search.
Yes, because just now someone had told like we can use binary tree also, right? So that's why.
Okay, maybe he will share or he can add more input. I am not able to get how you can use the binary search because you are starting from 4. In case if the elements 7 is not within the range, 4 is within the range, and in your left section 1 and 2 is within the range. How will you come to know? You have to take only 1 and 2 and 4. These two should not come inside that.
So I have shared a link
Okay.
in chat. That question is what I'm trying to use here. So if you look at this statement, that is basically what we will do in that question, what we will attempt in that question is to find the maximum of every k-sized window / minimum of every k-sized window in O of n time. So if you can do that, then you can actually use the solution to this problem, sliding window maximum. In our question, you will check at mid, you will check at, then basically you can the binary search will be a wrapper for our question, and we'll use this solution to this problem. That's what I'm suggesting.
Oh, okay. So here they are trying to get the max of the sliding window. The same way you can get the min and try to manage, I mean min for the same window and keep moving. Okay.
So he can calculate max of every k-sized window. Here you can see 3 sized window is there, and he's doing it in O of n.
Yeah.
Not O of k into n or something like that. So that's what I'm suggesting.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. It may be applicable. It sounds interesting. Yeah. Maybe if you solve, you can share the answer also. But every one of us, maybe we can try to solve also by using this technical approach. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Shashank had a solution, right? He was talking about monotonic queue.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, not tree map. That one I already discussed. Yeah.
No, not remap. Actually, Shashank was saying it can be solved with a monotonic queue, right?
Yeah, something. Yes.
I think this problem also can be done that way, but yeah.
Someone
Does he
has,
want? Yeah.
Someone has put the link in chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Shashank, want to discuss that? How you can do that, or anyone like?
Yeah, sure, but I may need some help. Like long back, I've solved. Yeah, I can carry on.
Or maybe just put it.
Or if somebody
post it in Discord.
Yeah. You can post. Yeah. That is case, then can we move to next question?
Okay, I think. Yeah.
The second question, count the number of teams. Let's open the question. So they have given the rating for all the soldiers. So we have to form a team with 3 people. The rating of 3 employees should be in the ascending order or descending order. That's what the question.
Okay.
So So everyone clear with that? So I'll take this example. So if we, so here the valid sequence are 2, 3, 4. So we are taking these 3 employees in this position 2, 3, 4. So these 2 are going in the increasing order. So this employee rating is greater than this, this soldier's rating is greater than this one, and this one is greater than this one. So this is a valid sequence. And another one is 5, 3, 1, going in a decreasing order, and 5, 4, 1. These are all valid. Is the question clear? So these 3 are the valid sequence. I mean valid possible teams, right? So here also the simple brute force approach can be run it in 3 loop and check first index value is less than the second index value, and second index value is less than the third index value, or the other way around. So everything is decreasing order. Just have one condition inside the third loop and keep iterating everything. It will be a n cube solution, right? That will be very easy, comfortable way, just by running 3 loops. The better solution is at any point in time, if you know, okay, one main important thing to consider is all are unique numbers, all going to be unique, all rating going to be unique. So at any point in time, if you take how many soldiers are there which they have less rating than the current soldier rating from the left side, so lower rating, and then if you calculate right side higher rating soldiers. So at any point in time, if you take all the soldiers having lower rating than the current soldier from the left side, and all the soldiers from the left side, just take the higher rating from higher rating, and the same as right side also. So left side you are counting the lower rating soldiers and higher rating soldier, and right side also if you are counting all the higher rating soldier and the lower rating soldier. If you have this count, then the possible solution is left side the lower rating soldiers count into right side soldier rating count of higher value. So each soldier from the left side can include this current value and can form those many possible combination of the right side count, right? For example, if you are having one soldier in the left side lower than the current, and 3 soldier in the right side higher than the current element, then possible combination is totally 3. In case if you have 2 soldier in the left and 3 in the right, then the possible combination is 6. Is the calculation clear to everyone? Because this middle element is always fixed. So if you have n number of element in your left side and m number of soldiers higher than this value, so each element in this left, including this, for each right side possible element, it's going to create one combination. So if it has n, right side if it has m, then n into m possible combination is there in the for the ascending order sequence. Is it clear or any confusion? Okay, I'll take it like it's clear. So left side, we are trying to get the full count of all the lower rating and the higher rating. So if you take higher rating count soldiers from the left side, then you have to use the lower rating count from the right side. If you are taking lower rating from left side, then you will be taking higher rating count from the right side. So just multiply the count, it will give the all possible combination. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, can you take an example? This one, 2, 5, 3, 4, 1.
Yeah, sure.
And now, can you say left side lower rating, how you are actually explaining?
Yeah.
Can you show it with examples so it will be more clear?
Yeah, sure. So we can take the current element as 3. Okay. So left side lower value count is 2, right? Only 2 is lower than the current element. So left lower is 2. So left side higher count is 1. This is also only 2. So count is only 1. So we got 2 counts. 3 is the current element. So right side higher count is only 4. And right side lower count value is 1. Okay. Sorry, 4 means count is only 1. We are taking 3 as a reference. So we are here.
Okay, so you are actually, with respect to 3, you are trying to find how many numbers are greater than 3 on the left side or right side, right?
Yeah, how many numbers are lower than the left side and higher than 3? I mean, how many numbers are lower than this 3 in the left side and how many numbers are higher than these 3 left side? The same, all 4 attributes we are trying to get. But since these are all unique, just get the one element and subtract from the left section, then it will get. But main idea is get the all lower count and higher count for the current element in both the section, left section and right section.
Okay. So you are having left lower and left higher 1, 1.
Yeah.
Because on the 3, the lower left is 2 and left higher is 5, right? Now you made 6, so that will be 2. Okay.
Yeah, just to get the...
Sure, okay. And then in that case, you just find any index like 3, any element like 3, which has the maximum count of the lower high, whatever, left high or left lower, right? And then whatever is the maximum count, you just multiply that and that will be your answer. Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
Okay.
Not just max. We have to calculate all. I mean, we will be using all 4, not just the max. Thing is, any lower number from the current index in the left side can create a combination by using any one value from the right side higher than the current element, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So if you have left side lower count is 1, then this should get, it can create a combination of higher value from the right side element.
Okay.
So this left lower can create all possible combination with right. Just I will put the actual value in the bottom. So this is how it's going to be.
Left lower and right higher and
Higher.
the reverse way of it.
These many combination is possible. Yeah, one way. The same way, the other combination going to be left higher into right lower. So just simply iterate each and every element, get all the lower element for the current element and calculate the higher element from the current element for left. Do the same thing for right. Once you get all these 4 count, just multiply like this, then you will get the all count. It's going to be n square solution, right? Because for each element, you are iterating all the element of the left section and all the element of the right section and getting all these 4 count. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think if we are able to calculate the left lower, then we can easily get the left higher also.
Yes,
Just by
true.
subtracting the index of that particular element from 0. The rest
Yes.
would be left higher, right?
Yeah, from the current index, for example, if you are in 0, 1, 2, 3, right? If you have only one element lower, then automatically, if you subtract this from the current index, automatically you will get what are all higher. Why? Because all are unique. If they are not saying it is all are going to be unique, then definitely you have to rerun and check maybe. Yeah, but either way, yeah. If you subtract, definitely it's going to, why we have to rerun is in case if there is a possibility of duplicate 3 here, then you will rerun. Since here everything going to be unique, just you can subtract the value. Yes.
Right. So
Yeah.
essentially what you're doing is you're finding the longest monotonic sequence ending at a particular character, right?
To be frank, I am not sure what you mean by monotonic sequence.
So by monotonic, I mean either completely ascending or completely descending.
Yep. Yeah, sure. Yeah, true. Yeah, that's what we are trying to. And by fixing the middle element, we are comfortably checking all the lower and all the higher will help to form that monotonic sequence. What you mean? Yes, that's what we are trying to do. Yep.
Okay.
So just one question on that example. So
Yes.
output of that your example is that left lower into right higher is 1. But is there any one sequence is possible if we consider the 3?
Is there any one sequence? What do you mean by one sequence?
So if we consider the current element as a 3, there should, with this output only, there should be one sequence satisfying the criteria, right?
We are getting 3 sequence, right? As per this calculation, we are getting 1 plus 2, 3 sequence we are getting.
So can you just, which one are those?
Yeah, 2, 3, 4. By maintaining the left lower section, only 2 here, and right side you are getting only 4. So 2, 3, 4 is one valid sequence.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah.
And by maintaining the higher, 5 and 6 are higher. By using these 3, this 1 going to help create the combination. So 2. Totally we are getting 3.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Now maybe we can go to the code. Yeah, just iterating the element. And for the current element, trying to get the
Please
loss. Yeah.
include your font.
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you.
So just get the lower element count by iterating once only in the left section. So the only for the current index left section, and the getting the higher count only in the right section from the next element to the full array, and then do the math to get the count. Just lower into higher and do some math to get the count. So if you simply do, then everything will get solved. Yeah. Any question? So you want to discuss?
Instead of I just wondering like a different implementation of this as somebody said, or I think you also mentioned that instead of having for loop within for loop, we can traverse the array and just identify all the lower elements, one of the combination, right? Okay, we have to find both the combination, but we don't have to, with the logic of the index, we can find higher and lower. I was just wondering, like, if we do it separately in a for loop, will that reduce the complexity instead of doing a for within for loop?
Problem is the higher element should be based on your current element, right?
Yeah. So what I was thinking is that we use additional array and then keep track of all the like we use 2 more arrays and then we keep track of
all the
elements which is lower than like.
Okay.
like for example for 5, right, we start
Uh-huh.
from 5, so we know that from 5 there's only one element lowered on the left, right?
Okay, so your point is for in this index,
yeah,
maybe 2 array will be there, one
yes,
to maintain the higher of the element, like something like one
yes, yes,
lower, and here we have only 2. I mean, only right side, right?
yeah,
Right side
exactly,
lower.
exactly.
Yeah, okay, something
Yeah,
like that. We will
yeah.
have one
And
one.
then once this is built, and then we play with these two array, actually the whatever is built with the
Yeah.
same approach as you said, right, that if we
Yeah.
know the index and how many are there on the left which is lower, then we know the
Nice.
higher number as well.
Yeah. So,
I mean,
but
just
still,
a different implementation. I don't know. I
yeah,
think it will improve the complexity because here it's a for loop within for loop. There we are
right.
using traditional array to build upfront what could
Yeah.
help us to lead to the solution.
But still, it is not going to increase the time complexity. Instead of doing it on its own, you are trying to run and calculate upfront. Only thing is, we
N
are,
plus n.
yeah.
It is n plus n, and then again n for your calculation.
Wait, it is not a n plus n, right? Because each element, you are doing the same thing. Whatever we are doing inside, you are trying to do beforehand, that's all. But we are increasing the memory, but time complexity, I think it's going to be same. For each element, you are calculating all the left and updating it here. Okay, maybe you are trying to utilize something, I don't know, maybe you can find some way. So what you are saying is we have only lower one element. Maybe 5 is lower than 6. Automatically, you will not iterate this left section. If all values lower than this 5, automatically you will utilize that and try to include those elements, including this 5. Something like that you are visioning.
Yeah, I was thinking in that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to
Yeah,
check.
yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that may save little bit in time. Yeah, it can save if you try to use all the value just by seeing this element. But in case if this element is lower, but I think you will end up seeing going more and try to see all the elements something. But yeah, we can try to implement. It may save, but I am not super confident like it will save or not at this moment. But this idea sounds promising. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he can maintain a map
Yeah.
of your input array with a map of the key will be the values, and the key will be our input values, and the value of the map will be the indexes of this array. So in this case, when you are having 3, so he can have an ordered map, okay, and he can look for whatever element is lesser than 3. Okay, the next element lesser than 3 will be 2, right?
Yes.
So you can traverse that array. Okay, that will be O of 1, right? Again, if this
Okay, yeah.
okay, maybe.
But
No,
O
it
of
won't be
n,
if it's an ordered map, right?
yeah, but
So he
problem
just
is,
has to he is on one
yeah,
iterator like of 3, so he
yeah.
can find what that index is.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but
and then he
still
can calculate all
this
this.
operation will get repeated again and again, right? It's order of n lookup for sure. But for 3 you have to do, and 6 you will be doing. You will be iterating all the element again and again, right? To get the lower element. I mean, anything lower than this. Again, maybe you can do a binary search. Maybe you mainly you want to get one element lower than this.
Yeah.
Just get the count plus 1. Something like that. You will be maintaining it. Yeah, but that idea looks
maybe
good.
interesting. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, any other thing?
Here, how you are maintaining the index?
How are we maintaining the index?
It means
What
that you
index?
you told, right, the left and the right elements.
Yeah.
So how you are finding that mid element?
Mid element can be any element, right? Mid element is like iterating the array, and each element can act like a mid element at one point. If you take this example, first 2 going to act like a mid element, even though there is no left element. As per the logic, it has to go in a common way, right? For 2, we will be trying to get all the lower and higher. Left side, both are 0, so it cannot create any combination. And for 5, lower going to be 2, 5 each element in the array will act like a mid element. The mid element is like iterating each element in the array and try to get all the left and right for each element. Because each element, there is a possibility to, except the leftmost and the rightmost, each other element can create a possible combination, right? That's why each element will try to act like a mid element at one point in time. Yeah, maybe on small tuning, maybe we can avoid running 1, maybe it can start from 1, maybe, since 0 will never create any combination. And the last element also we can ignore, maybe. Yeah, but apart from that, each element should act like a mid element. Is that clear? Shall we move to next one? Okay, you can go to next, right? So the problem is, given an integer array, find the continuous subarray within an array which has the largest product. It's a kind of straightforward problem. The font size, okay. This is assembly input. So given an array, just get the maximum product from the given array. So if it is all positive number, then there is no confusion at all. We can just keep multiplying all the element. That will be the, if you multiply all the element in one pass, that will be the maximum product. So no confusion at all, right? Since it can have 0 and negative number, that's where the confusion starts. So the simple approach is like try to n-square solution can be like try to create, find all the combination and get the multiplication and maintain one max. That can be the simple solution, but it's going to be n-square, right? The other way is like, again, like kind of keep running. The brute force, everyone clear, right? That is very simple, straightforward. Just run 2 loop, try to get all the multiplication, product value and maintain the max. So
But if we do like that, we will get negative value also, right?
Yes, but we are going to maintain, for example, 2. In the second loop, you will be checking into 3, and then you will multiply it with -2, and you will multiply it with 4. But when you are reaching here, max will be 6. Sorry, result will be 6. When you are reaching next element, it will be -12. But you are maintaining the max between these two, right? So automatically 6 will be maintained.
Oh, which means that we are just what to say, like multiplying the first element and the second element, and we are calculating the max for that element, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
You will be doing the same logic again and again. You will start from 2, and you can start from 3 and try to do all the element.
And we have to find the max.
Yeah, it may looks kind of very stupid thing, but why we have to do is like, in case if this one is minus and you have one other minus value, if you start from 2, this will make lower, but if you start from here, then it will be max. The brute force will be, you will try to create all possible combination for each and every element. So start from first element, multiply everything, whatever is max, keep track, and next start the next element, try to multiply with all other remaining element, keep track the max. Overall max will be the final answer. That will be the basic brute force.
Okay.
Yeah. So next one is try to maintain one other extra max other than the result. Maintain max the tricky element is 0. So whenever you see 0, you can keep calculating the max. Whenever you see a 0, you have to drop up to this and you have to start a fresh product. So that's, and then because of negative number also we have to consider at one point the minimum value can become a maximum. So we can maintain a max and one min value, and this max can be updated like whatever the max up to now and the current element or the current element. Why do we need this is to handle the zeros. Whenever you see 0 as a product, I mean, then automatically your current element will become the max, right? Something like that. In case if you are seeing the same way, we can maintain the min also. It's going to
So
be,
we have to calculate the product before zeros, right? So that is the last and what is it, the max one. That's what you are trying to say, right?
yeah.
Okay, got it.
So you are trying to multiply with current element. Okay. So
Susai, can you just walk through these two
yeah, sure.
statements with the above example?
Yeah,
It
sure.
would be better.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So main result max and min. Why are we maintaining the min is to handle the negative numbers, and why we always calculate the current int max and the current of the max to handle the 0 cases. So the result, we can iterate this. So we can always update the first element first. All are going to be there. So whenever you see a next element 3, so calculate with 2 into 3 6, and the current element is 3. So definitely this is max. So next iteration max going to be 6 and min going to be 2 into 3 6, and your current element is 3. So next you are seeing 0. When it's 0 comes, the current element is 0, and if you multiply 0, wait. Okay. So you will be, so your result will be still the old max, the 6 only. So initially it will be 2, and with your next element it's going to be 3, and you will be keep maintaining like this. So the max will be 0 at one point in time, but still your main result going to be 6, right?
Okay.
Because we are keep updating 3 variables all the time. For
Right.
any time we are keep iterating these 3.
So that result you are just looking for the value of max, right?
Result is max or result, yeah.
So result will be max of max and result, right? Okay.
Result will be max of result comma max, yes.
Mhm. So then where are you using your min?
I think there should be
Min,
one more term in
yeah.
max.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Yes, what I'm saying is that there's one more term while you're finding the max, and that should be minimum into current element.
One more time.
So when you are finding a maximum, you are taking two options, right? Maximum into current, comma current. So I think there can be one more option, like if your minimum is very negative and your current element is also negative,
Yes.
then that would lead to a positive answer.
Yeah.
Yes,
So that
that's
there
what
would
I
be
am.
3 terms, right, to be compared with.
Yeah, one possibility is you can manage the min and you can try to compare here that one also. Yeah, whatever the point he explained. Another way is whenever you see your current element is negative, then swap the min and max. Because if your current element is negative, then definitely your min element, whatever you have in min, definitely that should have included one negative number in that. That's why if you flip, then that will become a max current value. Or as he said, you can run one more max. That's going to be whatever the max you got from now and the current min, something like that.
Right.
That also you can do. The current min
Into
will
the element.
value.
Current into min, yeah.
Whatever your current, this value, you have to use this value also to get your max. Or else another simple way is whenever you see a negative number, just swap these two elements. Because you know the min going to act like a max at this moment. Since your current element is negative, your min going to have the negative value. Absolute value going to be higher, right? With your negative also
No,
you
not
have the number.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Min can be 0 also, right?
Min can be 0 also. Yes, but we are taking whatever is okay. If it is a 0, then it is not a problem, right? Your min also going to be 0, your max also going to be 0. Because whenever 0 comes, it will make everything 0, right? Only
Okay,
possible
you're
way
considering the result. Okay, got it.
Yeah, whenever you have min, if there is a greater value, then it will be having some minus some number, definitely. If it is 0, then max also going to be 0. If min 0, definitely max also going to be 0, because we are multiplying the current with max as well as min, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's whatever you feel comfortable. You can manage with the two times. In Java, we cannot pass 3 element, but some language allow to pass 3 element for your max method, I believe. So in Java, instead of running 2 times, I felt like comparing and checking will make more sense, and it will be easy for me to track. That's why I was thinking in this way. But you can, some language you can pass 3 element at one time for min, I believe. For those kind of language you can do. Even in Java, you can do the min 2 times. Max and min you can do 2 times. Compare the current one, whatever the condition I have added, and you have to do one more thing. Current max also you have to use to calculate your min, and max also you can use current min also along with this max into current, current, and you can have one more parameter called current min, something like that. That will be previous min into the current element, something like that. Is
Right.
clear? Okay. Shall I share the
Yeah,
code?
thanks.
Okay. I'll take the Java one. Yeah. Okay. I think this is the basic solution. Yeah. This is what going to be the logic. Just iterate from the first element, since I already updated the, iterate from index 1, since the first element already updated here. Just keep going. Whenever you see less than 0, just swap these two elements, or else just keep updating max and min with whatever is the max current element or current element into the previous max. Same way min. Here the other approach can be, this value also can be included here, and this value also can be included here, whatever is the full max, something like that. And result going to be always result comma max of.
Okay, so your min value will be only used when the num is less than 0.
Yep. Yeah. You can avoid this condition by adding this value comma here and this value here. With that, if your language supports 3 parameter here, you can avoid this and it will happily go with it. Yes, because whenever I see a current, I mean less than 0 means it's a negative number, right? So if the previous min can have the absolute max possibility. So that's why trying to swap that value. If the negative, the min is already having the negative number, then if I multiply with the current negative, then definitely that can become a max. So just preparing that content here to get the right max. Yes, the min will be useful only for the negative numbers.
Makes sense.
And getting max of this current number and this max is to handle the zeros. This problem looks very simple, straightforward, but still if you see first time it may be a little bit tricky. It may be like kind of, yeah, some people may get, but I couldn't get that easily. When I see first time, it was taking a little bit time to.
It's tricky, absolutely.
Yeah. Only this. That's all from this. So anyone want to add?
You are initializing these variables as int. So
Int, yes.
if all the elements are positive, then there's a chance of overflow. So are you facing that somewhere?
As per this problem, I mean, for the input set, they said it is not possible, but that's a valid question. Yes. For this, the range they have given the input possibilities, it will not overflow. That's how they, that's why it is passing all the cases here for.
Okay.
But ideally it is possible. You have to call it out in interview cases for sure. Yeah, definitely there is a, since it's a multiplication, easily it can overflow. Yes. But for this problem, it's not happening. Yeah, that's a good call. Thanks. So anyone want to add anything to discuss anything else?
Yeah, I can discuss the first question using that monotonic queue.
Yeah,
Right.
sure. Yeah. You want to share your screen? Are you?
Yeah, I can share it.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the previous question, like the one method discussed by Susai, and the next one is like using the monotonic queue. So can you tell the array like what it was? I remember.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The first problem, right? The limit and the numbers.
8247.
Yeah, 8247 and limit is 4.
Limit is 4, yeah.
I'm taking this example, what you have mentioned in the.
Oh, sure, sure. Okay.
10, 1, 2, 4, 7, 2, right?
Okay, yeah.
So here we are maintaining 2q, dq actually, not q. So one is the increasing one and the other is the decreasing one.
Okay.
And the two window approach, the 2-pointer approach. So start and end will be initially your start and end is here itself.
Okay.
So if it is an increasing queue, you can push 10 in both.
Okay.
And 10 minus 10 is 0. When you pop this from this DQ and pop it from here and take the difference.
Okay.
So it will be your 0. So which is satisfying your limit. So one sub array you got, which would be of length 1. So let's say this is an answer variable.
Okay.
So this is 1. Now start is here. Now we'll move the end because limit I'm satisfying. So if I move end is 1. So 1 you can't put here because it is an increasing. So you'll have to delete 10 and then put 1. But you can directly put 1 over here because it's a decreasing DQ. And
okay.
Yeah, but here now again we'll pop out first element here is 1 and first element here is 10. The difference is 9, which is greater than your limit. Limit was 5, right?
Yeah. Yes.
4, yeah.
So in that case, yeah. So in that case, you move the start pointer to this, and all the elements before the start should be removed from both the queues. So here already 10 is removed, so I'll remove 10 from here. And now again we can increase the end pointer. So this is 2. You can put it over here, but you can't put in this because this is a decreasing one. So you'll have to pop it out first and then put 2. Now 2 minus 1 is 1, which is again valid 1. So this is your two sub-array you have seen. Now again move E. So 4 you can easily put over here.
Yeah.
But you can't put 4 over here because of that, what
Yeah.
is it? Increasing one. So 4 minus 1 is 3. Again, it's allowed. So this is 3. Now next when you go to 7 you can put here because it's an increasing one.
Yeah.
But you can't put here because it's a decreasing queue. You have to delete this and then
Yeah.
put.
Okay.
Now 7 minus 1, 6. 6 is greater than your limit. So what you'll do, you'll move your start pointer here and all the elements before the 6 has to be deleted. So 10 is already deleted. Now 1 I need to delete. So 1 I'll kick out from here. And now you'll have 7 minus 2, which is 5.
Valid. Okay.
So this is a nice array. Nice, what do you say? I mean, it's an allowed array.
Yeah.
And now you will again increase your pointer to 2. Now while putting 2, this is an increasing one, so you'll have to delete 7. Again, you'll have to delete 4. Then you will keep 2, right? Yeah, then you'll keep 2. And this is a decreasing, you'll have 2 here. And yeah, and this we have already counted by that time. So 4 sub-array. And after that, you'll finish the end of the array. So this will be your resulting answer.
So every time you are going to take the difference between S and E.
Yeah, S and E. Initial, what do you say?
Okay. Incrementing
The
versus
starting
decreasing.
element of both the DQ.
Okay. Okay. So first element of both the Q difference you are always calculating.
Yeah,
It is
because it
within
will give you
range.
the minimum and it will
Okay.
give you the maximum.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And also you are popping the elements only when the difference between both of the Qs is greater than the limit, right?
Yes.
Or else you are not popping at all. You are
Not
just incrementing the E.
Yes. So if it is greater, that means that should not be in your array, right? So it has to be removed from both the DQ. I mean, first one and
So,
second one.
Shashank, when you entered 7 in your increasing queue, you
Okay.
calculated the difference of 7 with 1, right?
No, when one was deleted already. No, because when I entered 7, right?
Yeah.
Because it's bigger than the limit.
So start I increase. So all the elements before the start has to be deprecated. So this one was removed.
Okay.
Right.
So what I'm asking is that you're calculating the difference between two elements in the same queue, or you're taking one in the one queue and the other in the other queue?
Yeah, one in increasing, other in this one. I can walk it once more if like it has become mess. Then
When you are inserting 7, how are you removing 1 is confusing in your first queue.
7, 1, 2, 4, 7,
Okay.
2, right? So this is an increasing and this is a decreasing one. So this is your start and ends. Initially, you can both are increasing, so you can put 10 here, 10, and this will give you the minimum one.
Okay.
Sorry, this will give you the maximum because it is increasing, and this will give you the minimum. So here both are 10 only. So 10 minus 10 is 0. So one sub-array you got till now. So initially initialized to 0. So 1 you got. Now you will move your end. So end is 1. This is an increasing. You can't put 1 here. You have to remove 10. You will put 1 here. But here you can put because it's a decreasing. Now from this one you will get 10, and from here you will get 1. 10 minus 1 is 9. Absolute value you will take whatever 1 minus 10. Or, so that is greater than your limit 5. If it is greater, you move your start pointer to end, and all the elements before the start has to be removed. So this 10 will be removed from here. Now you'll move end to here 2. So 2 you can insert over here. It's an increasing, but you can't insert 2 because it's a decreasing. So I'll have to pop out this and then put 2. Now 2 minus 1 is 1, which is a valid one. So sub array again. Now I'll move this here.
So 1 second. So this 2 minus 1 you are taking the one from which array?
This one. 2.
1 is
2
from first
here
array.
and 1 from first array. Right.
The comparison is always from second array, second queue and first queue, first element, right?
I mean, absolute value we are taking. You can take first one from here and second. Actually, it's a 2-pointer approach only. We are moving left and right, and just to get the minimum and maximum between each range, I'm using these two DQs.
So you're taking the top of the queue, right, to take the difference?
Yeah. DQ it is, yes.
Yeah, so
That's
the
why.
front of the queue, always the front of the queue,
Yeah.
and then you find out what is the whether it is greater than the limit.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it is lesser, you can go ahead. If it is smaller, then you can. Sorry. If it is greater than what you say, you'll
If
have
it
to
is
pop.
greater than you pop, yeah.
Yeah. So now you will insert 4. So 4, if you can easily insert 4 here because it's an increasing, and here you can't increase, you have to delete and 4. 4 minus 1 is 3, which is again a valid one, right? So this is 3, so valid. Now again you move E here. So this has got 7, but here you can't put 7. And 7 minus 1 is 6. Since 6 is greater than 5, so you'll move the start pointer and delete all the elements before the start. So 1 will be deleted. So 1 you can delete from here. And now again you'll move E here. So if you move E here, you can't insert 2 directly. You'll have to remove this also because they are greater than 2, and then put 2. And this is decreasing, you can directly put 2. Now 7 minus 2 is 5, so this got 4. Now next time array itself is over, so the final result is 4. So overall timing will be order of n because I'm going through this array only once, and just extra space order of n it will take.
Yeah, this sounds interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Thanks
think
for
the
sharing.
double-ended queue makes it more simple.
Yeah, from front.
That is the key actually. The simple queue will not work in this case.
Yes, agreed.
The increasing and the decreasing order of the queue is important.
Hey, I have a question. So when you inserted 4, right? You could only insert it here. You couldn't insert it here. But then you subtracted 4 from 1 and got 3. Shouldn't you have done?
Yeah, you will take the first element only. No, when I inserted 4, you can insert 4 over here, and all the elements, since you can't insert 4 over here because 2 is lesser than 4, it is a decreasing, right? The next element should be lesser than 2. So I popped 2 from here. Now the first element of this DQ is 4, and first element of this DQ is 1. So 4 minus 1, or either way around, 1 minus 4, absolute value you have to take, which is 3 less than your limit.
Oh, so you're subtracting this element with this and not from the increasing queue, not this one.
No,
not the end one.
Okay.
And this is a bit confusing. I also got confused there.
Significance of this is increasing will always give you the maximum element, and this will always give you the minimum element. So you have to take first element from first array, not array, DQ, and second one from the subsequent decreasing.
Fair enough.
So you are accessing the last element of this decreasing queue and the first element of your increasing queue, right?
No, first element always.
First element always.
Both first
Why
element.
the last element you are saying? All these are because see, when I'm inserting 4, these elements are lesser than 4. So which is not a valid for decreasing queue, right? So you need to pop out all these elements. So your first element will become 4 only, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so on, yeah. Yeah, I can walk through. I mean, long back I have coded. Let's see. So it's like I have defined minimum DQ and maximum DQ. I'm going through array. I mean array of nums. So as long as you find that your top of the element is greater than this, you keep on popping this step. Like 4 was there. I mean, when I encountered 2 here, I kept on popping till the point I saw that the element which I've inserted here either equal to this or should be greater than that, right? So this is for the increasing one, and this is for the decreasing one. I'll keep on popping, and then I'll append the new number to the minimum and maximum, and just I'll check first element of the increasing one, and first element of the decreasing one, and check if it is greater than the limit. Then what we do, we increase the start pointer and all the elements. Before that, we remove it. So this is what I'm popping left, and same for this, and at last just length of nums minus I. I mean, I will reach till that point. So you get the difference, the entire array length and minus I cube. That will give you the, what is it, the required number of sub-arrays. So here it looks like O of n square, right?
You are just popping them out, right? When you are not meeting that increasing or decreasing property, right?
Yeah, it would be O of n only because you are inserting an element maximum once and deleting it once.
Yeah.
But your loop is not within the same loop, right? It does have a separate loop, right?
Yeah, I think it will add some complexity.
Which one?
While for
loop,
inside.
While two whiles
while
are
loop,
there.
if the elements are greater or less than, right? So it will keep on popping those many elements, right? For the numbers.
So, but it will be big O of 2n maybe, right?
Yeah, but still every time, I mean, the remove going to be only once, right? Even though it is loop inside that, yeah, I think it cannot go more than O of n.
Yeah, so other way to think is how many times at max we can insert element in one of this queue and how many time we can remove. So maximum is n time you can insert and n time you can remove from each queue. Let's say if we have kind of data point, right?
Yes.
So it can be multiple of n, but yeah.
Yeah, but
Can't
still
go
n.
beyond.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe some 3n max, maybe, but still n. Yeah, it's nice solution. Man. Thanks for sharing.
Shashank, one thing.
Yeah.
So when you hit this line number 40, you are popping from both these queues, right? So let's say in the max queue you have an element 7, and in the min queue you have the element 1, and the limit is 5. So this is not a valid combination. So you pop 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You pop 7. So are we not losing out on some things there? Because suppose after 1 we have 2, then 7 minus 2 can give us a valid valid answer. So you have popped out 7 in this case. So that 7 minus 2 condition you're not taking care of.
No, the second it will take care line number 17.
But you have also popped out one, right? 7 also and 1 also. So how will you find for 7 minus 2? Like 7 in the decreasing queue and 1 in and 2 in the minimum queue.
Increasing.
Yeah, increasing.
But you cannot pop both of them at the same time, right? Because in 15 is comparing the nums I.
Okay. I missed
Either of it, yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So any doubt or we can.
No problem. Thank you. Hey, Martin and Pankaj, they were actually thinking of discussing the segment tree, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested. I don't know it, but I think somebody.
Yeah, actually, that's very good thing to.
Yeah, we can improve. I was thinking about it, but I can share something on Discord later on.
Okay.
And if you guys interested at a very high level idea, like we can work on it here. Like it depends if we have time, because it's already new.
Okay, no problem. So this was for the last problem, right? The max product.
No, this is for the count of teams.
Folders.
Okay, count of teams. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think this is for the first one.
Second.
No,
problem.
the Pankaj and Martin, which we're talking, that one.
Okay.
Yeah, because they shared something on the chat and then just I saw it. Okay.
It seems that there's a n log n solution as opposed to the n squared that we went. But yeah, I guess if somebody has some insights, feel free to share.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So, Bhavesh, that's all from my side.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Jose. It was a good session. Yeah. Wonderful. we identify
Thanks.
prospects.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.